Hey there guys, how's it going for today? And in today's video I'm discussing what it takes for you to shuffle up and get a game of Commander. Alright, so we're discussing what it takes for somebody, i.e. you, who's listening to this episode to shuffle up, get into a game of EDH for like the first time, one of your first times, whatever. As a new player. So what you need if you're going to start playing Commander, you're going to get into this format, is I don't think you 100% need to have your deck sleeved, but I suggest that you have your deck sleeved. But you need a sleeved 100 card singleton deck with a commander, and all the cards in your deck have to be in your commander's color identity. Okay, so that's what you need. You also probably need some dice, some life trackers or whatnot, that sort of thing. You don't need it on your phone or whatever. You can use a calculator if you really want on your phone. It makes it easier sometimes. But you definitely do need dice. You need some D6, probably. And some, D20s. Not the, ones you get for D&D usually, just the ones you get for Commander, like the spin down ones. So those ones are very good. So I'm going to go in depth a little bit into more about like some of this stuff, but just for now, like I'm just saying, what you need is, like, you do need a 100 cards deck, and you need a commander, and your cards all need to be like, that's the first step. First step, like, do I have a deck? Yes. Is it 100 cards? Exactly 100 cards, including the commander. Right. Yes, I do. Are all the cards in my commander's color identity? Now that can be a bit like tricky sometimes, because some cards have a back to them or another color to them and things like this. Like, they'll have a red mana symbol in their text box or whatnot, or somewhere else on the card. Some cards have like reminder text, like Exploit has, you can pay white or black for the effect. That's not a pip or whatever it would be considered to be a color identity on the card. So it does not matter that card has that pip or that color identity, quote unquote, there. So there are some, fringe exceptions that, go into whatnot, and I'm not going to go 100% into it, but there are some cards that are out there that are deceptive, and some people go, oh yeah, whatever, it's just a card in my deck, and I didn't realize that it actually had a red pip on it, or it had this, because somebody like I saw was playing this Haunted Ridge or whatever it's called, and I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And they're like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, you're playing a mono red deck or a mono white deck or whatever, like, you can't be playing that. It's like, you can't use it. They're like, well, I'm just using it as a plains. Well, that's not how it works. Oh, it was actually one of the MDFC lands that's, whatever it is, the Needle Verge Pathway or whatever it is, the red-white one. Like, those ones, they're deceptive. Like, some of those cards are deceptive. Like, there are some cards that are very deceptive. It's, not very clear that it's a black card on one side, or that it is technically a black card or whatever, and you're running it in your mono blue deck or your whatever deck, So it's one of those things. You've got to be careful, and sometimes you won't know, and it's one of those things. If it so happens to come up, it's not that big of a deal, I don't think. Like, someone will say, wait a minute, like, what's going on with this? And you'll just be like, what do you mean? And they'll point it out to you, and you'll be like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that. And then, you'll be like, well, do you want me to take it out, or, can I just leave it in for now, or I'll just take it out for a basic land or something, or whatever, like, I didn't realize, I thought that it was this, or what, if it was a genuine mistake that somebody has made, then I don't see a big problem with it. If somebody knows that this is a card, oh yeah, this is black, then you should realize that it doesn't go in a mono blue deck, but you shouldn't make that mistake. Of course, again, you could say to somebody, oh, by the way, I'm playing a card that's technically outside my mana restrictions. Is that okay with everyone? I just want it as a sacrifice land, and I can't really find any other ones that are cheap enough or whatnot. Things like this. You can do things like that. You can ask people if you really know about it. And there's been some confusion, like someone will often with my Toski deck, they'll go, I'll play a spell that has black in it, and they'll go, wait a minute, your commander's black? And I'm like, yeah, my commander's Golgari. And they're like, wait, what? How is your commander Golgari? And I'll point to the one black pip that's on the commander, and they go, oh, I didn't realize your commander's actually Golgari. I thought it's mono green. And then sometimes they'll be like, wait, you're playing swamps in that deck? I thought it was mono green. It's like, no, it's not. It's Golgari. And I've even saw that on MTG Goldfish, where they had it listed as a mono green commander, and I even had it, saying this deck is not a legal deck on there because they recognized it as a mono green deck or a mono green commander, and forgot that it actually had a black pip on its one of its abilities. So it was like, oh, I have all these black cards and swamps and whatnot in my deck and whatnot, and it was like, oh, you can't have that. But I can because it's Golgari. So it's one of those things, like there's some people that go, oh yeah, I forget that that's actually, not just mono green or whatever, because most of the cards are are green in a deck like that. So it stumps people to be like, huh, wait, what? But those things will happen, again, so if you're going into a game, again, just be mindful of the cards, and if somebody does say, hey, wait a minute, I don't think that's right, or I think that, whatever, don't worry about it. It's there. If you've made that mistake, I haven't made too many mistakes like that, but I have made some, so I know how it is. It's but honestly, it's one of those things where you're just like, oh well, honest mistake, sorry, or whatnot, or whatever. So it's one of those things. But anyway, so when you sit down with a bunch of people, doesn't matter if it's your friends, or it doesn't matter if it's strangers, or it doesn't matter if it's online. This is the same thing, I guess. No matter if you're sitting IRL, or you're sitting on your webcam, or you're playing a game via Modo online. So if it's hard to put a deck together, that's the thing. That's why EDH Rec and a lot of these deck building sites are so useful. It's because you can go through some a whole list of cards that other people are playing fairly commonly in a deck like that, and be like, well, yes, I do want to play this card and this card and these cards, because those are the cards that I want to focus on. I want to focus on this aspect of this commander, and doing this specific synergy, this specific part of it, whatever. I've seen so many human tribal decks around, commanders that just so happen to be humans, or happen to do something roughly with humans. They're not technically really human tribal support, but they kind of do something with humans, like the new Selesnya commander, and I'm actually thinking about doing a deck around that myself. So I was like, why are so many people running all these humans? Oh, yeah, because it's a humans commander, and obviously you can't do anything with a commander, but basically just do whatever tribe is printed in the text box. That's another thing, like when I was building my Olivia deck and playing my Olivia deck, just test driving it and whatnot for a while, I was like, everyone was like, vampires. I'm like, no, it's not vampires. There's like 3 vampires in here, maybe, or whatever. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Um, you know, but everyone would still say, oh, it's a vampire deck or whatever. I'm like, just because my commander's a vampire doesn't mean the rest of the deck's a vampire. There's maybe like 3 vampires, 4 vampires, or something in here. Like, there's other stuff in here. It's not a tribal deck or whatever. It's just like reanimating or whatnot. But that's the thing. Like, it's one of those things. But anyway, it's not really relevant to this conversation too much. But it's a funny thing that sort of happens. But yeah, like, whenever you're sitting down with people, you're gonna get like those games that are great fun, and you're gonna get those games that are kind of the opposite as well. There's all kinds of politics, and like people sometimes, certain people just don't mesh together. Like, that's the thing. Like, this is another thing about being prepared for whatever comes your way when you're playing. It's not just having your deck and being ready to play your deck. You're being ready to play with other people, and you never know what those other people are going to play like, or how you're going to play with them. Like, this is a more like personal thing, I guess. So it's hard to prepare for what you don't know, or what can happen or whatnot. At the end of the day, I want everyone to have fun, and I think that's what everyone comes for. And I think if arguments and issues start to happen at some point in the game, you need to just be like, dudes, come on, what's going on? I just want to sit here and play the game and have fun. I don't want to politic too much. Like, a little bit of politics is fine, but this is starting to get out of control, and you guys are going a bit too silly. That's one of those things where sometimes you've got to know when enough's enough sometimes, or somebody's bullying somebody else kind of a little bit or whatever in the game. And it's like, well, I can't really do anything, quote unquote, in the game because I don't have that much in the game right now. But I can say to somebody that outside of, well, while I'm playing the game, well, sort of outside the game in that way, to say, hey, look, you're bullying this guy. What's going on? Like, that's another thing to be aware of, and to be like, thinking about. Like, it's not always going to happen, but having it in the back of your mind to know, hey, wait a minute, this isn't right. I feel bad about this. Maybe they have a personal relationship where this is sort of the norm for those people, but it's not the norm for me. And I don't want to sit there and watch these two people arguing, or seemingly they're bullying one another back and forth, and I'm just sort of here like doing my own thing. Sometimes it can be okay because you can get those sneaky wins and whatnot. You can fly under the radar because somebody's too focused on somebody else, and that person's therefore too focused on the other person. But sometimes it just disrupts the game, so you do have to be aware of, like, not just politics, but just like how friendly some people are to other people, because again, it can be directed at you as well. You could be the odd person out. You could be the one being bullied or whatnot, and you need to recognize that in yourself if you are bullying people or whatnot as well. So it's another one of those things to be like aware of to a degree. It's not always going to happen, as I said, and I'll keep saying it here and there. But again, the thing is, if this happens, like, getting back to, well, we're all here to play, and like, if you guys or whatever, if you aren't making this about the play experience for the other 2 or 3 players or whatever that are at the table, that's the thing. Like, when it devolves into 2 people are just sort of, at each other's throats, you might as well say, guys, look, we don't want to play with you if you're just going to do this. Go away. Go have your argument. Go do something somewhere else. Go away. We just want to play. We just want to have fun, because that's what this is about. If you guys want to keep carrying on, please get out of our faces, because, look, we just want to play. That's it at the end of the day. You've got to be, like, realistic, and, like, this is what I came here for. I came here to play. I came here to have fun. I came here to be in a place that's, safe for everyone, or whatever. Same thing online, or whatnot. Like, again, it's another safe space. There's not meant to be anything, too bad going on, but there is sometimes times that's, not all being modded and whatnot, and sometimes the moderators aren't the best either. So, again, it's all part of the game, but, like, sometimes game aspects or personal aspects get in the way of that. So do be prepared for that. As I said, the basic necessities are there for you, but the rest of what it takes to actually sit down or whatever in front of your computer, or in front of a webcam, or in front of 3 people that you don't know, or 3 people that are your close friends, to play a game of EDH isn't just what you basically need, like your dice, your life counters, your deck, perhaps a deck box, your tokens. That's another thing. If you make tokens, you need the tokens that your creatures make. If you're going to have a +1/+1 counters deck, make sure you have a lot more D6 or whatnot, counters for dice and things like that. Dice for counters, rather. I'm dyslexic that myself. But yeah, make sure you have enough, because if you go, oh, I've used all of my dice for all of my counters, yet I'm still making more counters, that can be a big issue, because sometimes you might not realize how many counters some stuff might make, but again, being aware and being like, oh yes, this deck is meant to make lots and lots of counters, therefore I might need way more than what I think I might need, so therefore I should have a lot, in theory, and see, how many, I will need. If I keep needing more and more, then I'll keep getting more and more out of my, dice bag or whatnot. But if I don't need more, then they just sit there, and I'm prepared for when I do need more. It doesn't hurt me to have those dice there. And if somebody else needs dice, I happen to have some dice, that's another thing. If you're bringing a friend or whatnot, again, that maybe, or a friend's bringing you, maybe they'll bring you dice, things like this. So, it's nice to, there's sometimes when you go to a store, dice and things like that. If your deck's a clone deck, especially if you're a clone deck and you're playing online or whatnot, it's very hard to follow what's going on and what's what and where's where and who's who and all this sort of stuff. So, because a clone isn't the clone, it's a copy of whatever it cloned. So, saying, okay, this is, having a blank piece of paper and, writing whatever, especially if you've got magic marker or whatever, these ones are really good that you can magic marker over and you can just erase them and start again whenever you play it next, is you just put those magic marker squares over a thing and you just write, this is what it is on top of it, this is what I've got, okay, 2/2, when I do this, I do that, whatever, blah, 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 so, yeah. Those are things that, and if you've got that sort of setup, you need a pen. For EDH, you don't really need a pen and paper or whatever, unless you've got specific things that you really need for that, reason. like again, you are cloning things or whatever, or you need to take specific notes about certain things or whatnot. Like there's not that much necessary. Um, like yeah, copying things or taking things or making, like especially like exiling things like that make them into a zombie as well. So things like that, people go, oh, is that a zombie as well, or whatever? And, especially with like, whatever his name is, Scarab God, when people are losing 5 to 10 life every turn, they go, oh, does it make them zombies or whatever? And yes, it makes them zombies. Like things like this. Like, and I'm not going to do it through any too many of these rules, like little things. But again, if you don't know all of the rules, it doesn't hurt to ask. That's another really big thing. Like if you're getting into games and whatnot, like nobody knows everything. That's the thing. Like, and I don't profess to ever know everything or every card. And like again, I will, especially with new cards, will fumble and forget exactly what they're called or what they do exactly. But mostly you do know roughly what they do. Like some older cards, the same thing. Like they're worded in incredibly weird ways because, back when they made Magic cards back in those days, they didn't really know how to sort of template things and things like that, and how to explain things very well, sort of a lot of the time. And again, they didn't really have like the concept of multiplayer as much or at all. So a lot of things say weird things or act in a different way when they're played in multiplayer, like Mystic Remora and things like that. It was, it's worded in such a weird way, but it does work for everyone and whatnot. So yeah, but things like that, just being aware of like gaming, like this is back to gaming. This is a game, and again, everyone's out to win the game, like, but often not in that such cutthroat just way, like, or whatnot, or in a bribery sort of sense. And that's another little thing about like politics or deals or whatnot in EDH is I don't know whether I mentioned this before, but always keep your deals to within the game transactions, essentially. So I will not attack you for a turn, or I will blow up this thing that's really hurting you, or something, whatever. Things like that, and you won't attack me for a turn, or something. Little things, or more medium-ish things that you can sort of do. Don't try to overextend deals too much either, because when it comes down to 1v1, suddenly, oh, I made a deal that I wouldn't attack you for 5 turns, but now everything's changed in a turn, and we're the only 2 players left, so I'm not going to sit here and not attack you for 4 turns. You're just going to kill me, or whatever, somehow. So we've got to now attack each other, or we've got to now do stuff against each other, because now we're the only players left in the game. So it only makes sense. So things like that. But anyway, I think that's most of the stuff that I want to sort of say here, just in this little bit of a discussion. So I want to do more and more of these new player focused things. And I really want to find those people that are out there that are just getting into EDH and see what like their experience is. Like, have you picked up a precon for the first time? Like, have you built a deck for the first time? What, did you play before? Were you playing like standard or draft or, limited, whatever, like things like this? What were you playing before you played EDH? Was this your first step into Magic? really as well, because I know a lot of people, their real on ramp is just into EDH. Like EDH is the number one format. you know, so a lot of people get into it, and it's very easy to get into in a lot of senses and in a lot of ways, because I think I even explained that, this in a video a few months back or whatnot, but I'll keep saying it, and I want to keep saying it more and more, is that it's so easy just to pick up a deck and almost never have to worry about any of the cards in that deck being banned, or you have to, I suggest that people upgrade their decks, and I can suggest what you can upgrade in a deck, but I never will say you have to upgrade a deck. You don't have to have any kind of deck. You can, or whatever, any power level of deck. If you don't want to have that power level of deck, you can have the most janky, silly, dumb deck that you want. It doesn't matter. You can run 0 lands if you want. You can run, 99 lands, whatever you want. If that's the deck that you want to build, where you go, okay, I've got 9 lands in my commander, and my win condition is to pitch all of my lands and kill everybody, with Berigmos or whatever it is, things like this, and all I do is attack people to draw a whole bunch of lands, then fling lands at my opponents and whatnot, and all that sort of stuff. So, that's the idea of the deck or whatnot. Or I'm going Charbelcher style, and I'm just trying to shoot everyone for damages, whatnot, and I have all the MDFC lands so that I never hit a land, and whatnot, or whatever. You can do whatever you want. Again, you can play Chair Tribal, you can play a Ladies Facing Left, you can play whatever jank you want. You can play this top tier CDH. I don't care. Like, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do, and as long as you can find a play group or people that want to play with those decks or whatnot, whatever, or people that are playing at roughly the same power level as you, you're golden. That's it. Like, this is a great game. It's a great social game. Yes, again, I sort of said this before, as I was saying, sometimes there's politics and sometimes there's personal issues and all this other stuff. There is that. There's a lot of other stuff. You never know what kind of people are going to come into this game. Some people can be extremely closed-minded about certain things, like sexuality, sexual orientation, gender, race, religion, all things that exist in the world. Some people think the earth is flat, some people the earth is a square, some, all these things. You can meet all of these people and more anywhere and everywhere. And, again, don't be too surprised, and don't just cause arguments either, and just be like, well, I don't agree with that, but whatever. I'm not here to, argue with you about that or whatnot. I'm here to play a game of EDH. That's what I'm here for, dude. I'm not here to, agree or disagree with you or whatever, but I don't believe that's true, whatnot. Things like this. So you can just be kindly, against people, I guess, or disagree with people. You don't have to be down somebody's throat telling them they're an idiot or whatnot. Just be like, well, that's none of my business. They're a bit of an idiot, whatnot, but whatever. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here for a game. So again, yeah, prioritize what you're there for. Again, you're not there to justify yourself or judge somebody else or whatnot. This sort of thing, again, so you're there for a game. You're online, whatever, you're in your store, wherever you're at, your local pub, your bar, whatever, for a game. That's it. People are there to play the game. And that's what you should do. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, hope you've enjoyed this one. Hope it's helpful to you in some ways. So yeah, let me know if it is. Write your thoughts down there in the comments below. Be sure to try to respond to all of you. I really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about all the geeky things that we love. Yeah, so I'll see you down there in the comments below, or I'll see you in the next one. Hey, you've just finished watching one of our videos. A bunch of other videos are popping up on your screen now for you to check out, so why not check them out?